tailor get measured and the tops are made to size. Yeah, so they're not just like you pick one out, but they're literally made for your shoulders, your arms, and everything. Let's settle into our mat spaces just as we are. Whatever that may look like for you here this morning. Sit bones begin to feel a little more grounded as the spine elongates. Shoulders relaxed away from the ears, crown of the head pressing up towards the sky, jaw soft. Bring the awareness to your breath. As you continue to come back to the breath, you might start to feel the body resting, softening a little more. Take a moment in this space to set the intention for your own personal practice here this morning. With an intention present, allow the hands to come to rest at the heart center into Namaskar Mudra. We'll open our space together here with the sound of one Om, breathing in. Om. Namaste. Namaste to each and all, to all those around. Namaste, everyone, in person, at home. Namaste. Good morning. Well, I'd ask, how are you feeling at this time of your practice? How are you feeling? 2 thumbs up again. How beautiful is that? How are you feeling? Always good. And it's okay to not be good. It's totally okay. That's part of our humanness. A very joyful girl. All right, beautiful. I'm gonna say that'll be kush lucky, kush lucky. Lucky. Like, that's latke. It'd be lucky. Lucky is girl. Kush means happy. Kush. Or you could say me kushum. Me kushum. That means I am happy. Yeah, exactly. Caitlin, how are you feeling? We got a thumb up, 2 thumbs up. Beautiful. Bev, how are you feeling? Also, the 2 thumbs are coming right up. Miss Sylvia, how are you feeling this morning? Anandoham. I am bliss. I am bliss. Anandoham. Beautiful. Mama to be, how are you feeling this morning?
Today's a good day.
Today's a
Which
good.
on this journey is not every day.
Yeah.
Today's a good day.
Good. Have we do we have a name for little one?
So coming to boy.
Yay!
Both my husband and my grandfathers passed before we met each other.
Yeah.
They're both very important people, so we're naming him after our grandfather. So his name will be Alfred Maurice.
Alfred Maurice. Oh, beautiful.
June 20th.
Okay, so our first time grandmother on June 21st.
No, I'm here. Everyone we know is pregnant, and we're all writing off at the same time.
Oh, how lovely. Well, I look forward to meeting Alfred Morris at Maurice or Morris?
So it's French, so it's
Maurice. Okay. Yes. Oh, I love that.
It's very, you know, you've got Freddie for when he's in his cool teenage years.
Yeah.
Al for like his instruments, and Alfred at work.
Yes. Well, how wonderful to all be here today and all in that space as well. And of course, Santana's been around for quite some time, and if you haven't seen her yet in class, she already kind of knows what to do, what not to do at this point. So I know some of us in this class are like, what is she going to do with a pregnant woman in this class? And the answer to that question is absolutely nothing. Exactly. We're gonna let her do her own thing. But that's one of the beauties about our yoga practice is that as a teacher, we're here to kind of share what we know about yoga. But when it comes to the students, we're not here to tell them what to do, but we're here to empower them into making their own decisions. It really comes down to how do we instill in our students the power to make their own choices, no matter what it is. So she'll move her own body. If I see something unsafe, I'll go over and go, maybe try something else. That's why we watch. So welcome to this morning's practice. This weekend is all about slowing down. We're in the midst of a yin training, and in yin, right, it's long held poses targeting the connective tissues or yin tissues of the body. And as we've been talking about, we're looking at yin as the approach to our hatha yoga practice. Because everything that we do when it comes to a yoga mat and moving our bodies falls under the hatha yoga lineage. There is no yin lineage. It's about the movement of the body for feeling better so that we can have a spiritual experience. Because when your physical body is not feeling good, we get stuck in the mind quite a bit, and that becomes the focus, right? It's harder to have those experiences of when the body isn't feeling so great. So we utilize the physical movement in order to move some of that stuff out of the way, energetically, physically, so on and so forth. And in this approach here today, we'll be merging in a couple of different styles, for lack of better words, but we'll be utilizing pranayama, breath work. We'll be utilizing very gentle repetitive movements and stillness, but all in an approach of rest. Because that's what it comes down to, is that easefulness, that rest. Life can already be quite busy and hectic. We don't need any more of it, especially if that's what we're already experiencing in our lives. So how do we bring that balance? And this can be super hard. Slowing down can be super hard. Sometimes we might even feel as though we need to justify slowing down. I've earned it. That's a big key word that we'll utilize. I've earned this rest time. Why? Can we not just rest because that's balance to the life? That's what, right? The state of homeostasis is. Our whole body is about finding a state of homeostasis. If your pH level is too high or too low, you could become imbalanced. If your hormone levels are too high or too low, if you have too much insulin or too low insulin, right? We have issues. So it's all about finding homeostasis. We don't want the pancreas to work even more. We want it to work adequately when it's supposed to. So the same thing, we don't need to overwork ourselves thinking that that's the better approach. It's really about balance. So we don't need to justify balance. It's a state of homeostasis. It's where we were supposed to be in the first place. Just like your 24-hour day. How many hours are you supposed to sleep? Right? On an average, 8 hours. Some might be closer to 4 or 5, and that might feel, right? Remember that happy medium for each person is individual. It's ladies of a certain age. And some people may need to sleep a little bit more in order to find that balance. There's going to be a sweet spot, but we need that rest in order to repair the body, in order to take on the next day. But the more stress we give the body, the harder the sleep is. And the harder sleep becomes, the more of it we need. And the more rest we need. It just becomes this cycle. So finding balance. But it all comes down to what is our own personal approach? Where is our mind at in all of that, in finding that balance? Patanjali speaks to one of the niyamas. Niyamas is Santosha, one of the niyamas. And the niyamas, if you remember, is the observances. We start with our code of ethics. First is things you do outside in the world, right? In order not to hurt the other people. And the next code of ethics is niyamas. These are the observances, the things that you do when nobody's looking. And to me, these are the most important. These are the ones that really quantify our practice of yoga. These are the ones that really, truly make us a yogi. What do you do when nobody's looking? Right? I find the first one is taking the photos for social media, and the other one is happening when there's no social media, right? You'd be sitting there and doing all the fun yogic practices, but in the background, I've got like 3 bottles of wine on the go. No. It's like, how did I look into your life? But a lot of us are. And the niyamas is really that code again. What are we doing when nobody's looking? And one of those codes, or one of those things that we're doing when nobody's looking, is a sense of contentment. Patanjali says that unsurpassed joy, bliss, comes from a sense of contentment. Comes from a sense of contentment, of just being okay where you are. Whether you're happy, that's just an emotion. Whether you're sad, also just an emotion, a feeling. But sometimes we get attached to those feelings. We need to feel a certain way. Oh, it's not good that I'm not feeling good. I must feel good. So I'm going to do everything I can to feel happy. And instead, we're letting go of everything that is, right? What about this moment? What's wrong with this moment? Nothing. Because you're a human body having a human experience. And part of those experiences is feeling the range of emotion that comes along with it, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Contentment is not an emotion. Contentment is a choice. Contentment is acknowledging the present moment. Right here. that this moment right here in softness is okay. I feel pretty good, and that's okay. Whereas sometimes I don't feel pretty good. That's okay. And as soon as we say, and that's okay, that is a sense of contentment. That is Santosha. Bliss comes from that. When we say, I feel blissed out, it does not mean I feel happy and everything in my life is going great. When I feel blissed out, it's a state of, I'm so grateful that I'm right here, right now, having the chance to experience life the way it is, good, bad, or ugly. I have good days, I have not so great days, it doesn't matter because I am here now today. This is bliss. So yeah, you can be blissed out in the most horrible of situations. The world right now is showing us that. That's why some people are still okay with the things that are happening in the world. No matter, you name those countries right now, we've got like 4 or 5 of them that I can name on one hand that are experiencing absolute atrocities. And although, yes, I feel for them, I can still be okay, even though it sucks. I could also get wrapped up in that and go, that's it, the world is horrible. That just takes away my own peace. And if we want peace in the world, we must first feel peace within ourselves. You cannot share what you cannot feel. If you don't have that sense of peace, there's no way for us to share that sense of peace with others. And in other places, just some places need a lot more peace right now. So first, it comes down to us. What is that sense of contentment? What does contentment feel? So sometimes you're going to move your body and you're going to like it. And other times you're not. Is that okay? Is that okay? Truly, is that okay? Is it okay for you to get to the end of the day and go like, this sucked? This absolutely sucked today. And still sit there with a smile on your face and go, wow, that was something. All right. All right. By the way, you might feel that during childbirth.
Honestly, that's why God is pregnancy.
Yeah.
Your labor births happen.
Yeah. It's just going to be that sense of contentment. And when that happens, how much softer do we feel? How much more ease do we bring to the moment? How much more tension can we release off the body? And is this not the essence of yin? To allow, to release, to soften. Well, let's just take a moment and start to feel what contentment would be like if it was within our own body right here, right now. To notice the vast array of emotions that are available. And although you might attach to 1, 2, 3, or 4 of them at this point in time, what would it be like if it was okay? That it was okay to feel uncomfortable. That it was okay to feel excited. That it was okay. And when everything becomes okay, we no longer need to justify it. We no longer need a reason to feel certain ways. Because it's just okay. Santosha. Unsurpassed joy is attained through cultivation of Santosha, contentment. Unsurpassed Bliss is attained through the cultivation of Santosha. This is our true nature. From this space, take a full deep breath in. Hold at the top for a moment. And exhale, release the breath. Taking another even deeper breath from your sit bones to your crown. Inhale. Top of the breath, hold. Exhale, release that breath. Once more, your deepest breath from your toes to your crown. Inhale. Hold. Exhale, release that breath. If you've been sitting cross-legged for this time, you might like to stretch your legs out at this time, creating some gentle movement for your knees, your hips, your low back, your shoulders, whatever feels a little bit of tension here. No right or wrong movement. Let's take a minute just to explore what that little bit of movement would feel like in our own bodies. Could be a little twisting here, maybe if your lower back is feeling a little tender, or maybe some leaning back into the hands to open the chest. You might move the body, windshield wiper the knees, move just the ankles. Absolutely no wrong way. How does your body feel at this time? The beauty of this practice is the ability to go inwards. Not only are we moving our physical bodies, gaining some of that benefit, but we're utilizing that time to go inwards as the practice of pratyahara, making the conscious choice to go inwards. Take another breath in that exploration, whatever that may look like for you at this time. And we're going to begin this practice with a seated wide-legged posture. And you might sit up onto the edge of a cushion and almost slide the pelvis off of that cushion a little bit to help tilt the pelvis forward. And as the legs come to find a wide-legged position, also known as dragonfly, some people might like to put a little bit of a blanket underneath their heels, especially if the mat or the floor feels a little uncomfortable on the feet. As you find your way here, shimmying your body into that space, that dragonfly-like space, we're going to begin to move with the breath a little bit and taking a couple of breaths, maybe about a minute or so in that movement with the breath. And what that looks like is that as you inhale, the chest rises, the chin lifts a little bit, arching of the lower back. And as you exhale, kind of rounding forward. It doesn't have to be big movements. Inhale, lengthen the spine, lift the heart. Exhale, rounding the spine a little bit. You might have the hands staying on the knees or on the shins, but they might start to walk forward as your body starts to inch its way into almost of a forward fold as you continue to move with the breath. Inhales, the heart lifts, even if you're starting to fold forward, the spine lengthens. Exhale, a little bit of a rounding of the spine. basically moving like a wave. Thinking about that wave crashing up into the shore and then pulling back a little bit. Starting to match the breath with this movement and really bringing awareness to that breath. You'll notice the body begin to find a little more space as you keep going. Just a few more breaths here in that way. It's a little bit of that cat and cow inside of that stilling posture. Good. And with your next exhale, I'll invite you to that comfortable edge. And today that might be with the hands forward. You might find that you'd like to round the spine a little bit, but you might prefer a longer spine. Supporting your body, it might be forward folded a little bit, but your spine might be upright in a more perpendicular approach. As the eyes come to close or gaze softly forward, we're making the conscious choice to bring the awareness inwards. Breathe, to relax the muscles, to feel the sensations, to watch, and just allow. We'll be holding here for another minute, just as you are. Coming into that space, just allowing whatever comes up to come up. If you need to walk the hands forward a little bit more, you do. You need to walk them back a little bit, you do. And anytime the mind gets a little bit busier, come back to that breath. Just breathe. That's all we ask for in this practice today. Good. And for this last minute together, we'll be doing Brahmari Pranayam, the sound of the bumblebee. So we'll do 3 Brahmaris. Inhale together as you are. Exhaling bumblebee. Breathing in for the second bumblebee. Inhale for the third and final. Allow the breath to soften. And take 3 more breaths just as you are. And at the end of your third breath, you can begin to walk yourself back to a neutral space. Maybe you use the hands to start to walk back up to neutral, stacking the vertebrae. Shoulders, neck, and head coming up last, the legs remaining just as they are. And allow a couple of breaths here. With that awareness tuned inwards, allow the body to begin to move gently. What would feel good for your body at this time? Maybe you bring the hands underneath the knees and bring the legs back up. Maybe those knees come into the chest, hugging them into the body. Others might prefer to drop the knees side to side or do a butterfly or wherever else your body is guiding you at this time. Absolutely no wrong way to move here. The essence of this practice is just contentment. We're not looking to make ourselves happy, to feel sadness. You're just feeling what you're feeling. And the beauty about those feelings is that they change so often. Anything could happen at any time. Take another breath in that exploration. And then begin to find your way to a hands and knees position. And you might like to use some padding underneath the knees. So a blanket to help support the knees can be very beneficial here. You might unroll one gently or some cushions underneath the knees. And as you find your way into that tabletop position, your hands are underneath your shoulders, your knees are approximately hip distance apart. And allow, again, this yin style movement of the spine and hips a little bit. There might be a gentle exploration that occurs where you're moving the hips a little side to side. Yes, the cracking will happen. There'll be some popping, some noises. If this is the first time you come into this posture here today, you might find that you might need to stretch out your shoulders a little bit more, your neck, maybe your hips. And let's take another breath in that exploration. And then from here, look around and find your blocks. We're going to bring the blocks to the front of the mat. So the block on the right will come into the center of the mat, and the block on the left is going to move to the left corner of the mat. Left knee remains to the mat. If you need a little more cushioning, I can bring some over, and we're going to step the right foot forward to the outside of that right block. You're in a wide lunge position. And the hands are on the blocks. Your blocks can stay down. You can move them upwards a little bit more. And we're going to continue to move with the breath as we did the first time. So as you sink forward with that right knee, that left hip sinks forward as well. And now we're allowing the spine to move with the breath as you inhale, lifting the heart gently. And as you exhale, nearly rounding or kind of sinking forward a little bit more. Inhale, heart lifts. Exhale, sinking into it a little bit more. And just continue to find that flow with your own breath. Inhale, there's a little lifting of the heart. Exhale, almost rounding into it as though you were sinking right from the hips, back and forth. And as you move the breath here a little bit, you might start to find a little bit more space for yourself. You might start to feel that you fall inwards into your own body space. Just a few more breaths like this. Beautiful. With your next exhale, allow it to be the one that invites you to your comfortable edge, where you sink forward a little bit more, possibly lowering down onto the forearms on the blocks, maybe bringing the hands to the mat, almost shimmying your body to the inside of that right thigh. Hold this pose for about 1 minute, finding stillness, breathing, resting, feeling, watching and allowing. What happens when you begin to relax the body, the jaw, the tongue, the shoulders? Does the body begin to sink a little further? Do you fight that? Is it okay if you do? Good. We're going to come back to those 3 Brahmaris here. Inhale for the first. Wonder if you've all noticed those were slightly angrier Brahmaris than the last time. Second one, breathing in, soften that bumblebee. One last, making it a happy smile through it kind of bumblebee. It's all good. Breathing in. Good. Allow yourself 3 breaths, and at the end of your 3rd breath, invite gentle, slow movement. Where does your body want to go after that 3rd breath? You might choose to go to table, maybe stretch your leg out in a different way, maybe child's pose. There's so many different offerings and options here for you. Let's take a couple more breaths wherever you are. Bliss comes from contentment, not from being happy, from being okay, just as you are. Let's prepare to find our way to the opposite side. So same pose, just the other side. Just shifting your blocks over this time. Now your right block is going to come to the right edge of your mat, and the left block will be sitting in the middle of the mat. The right knee will stay to the mat or cushion as you step your left foot forward to the outside of that left block. Coming to that comfortable edge where that left knee is sinking forward, that right hip is sinking forward, the hands are on your blocks, and you continue to move the spine gently with the breath. Inhale, almost a little bit of a lengthening of the spine. Exhaling, a little bit of a rounding or hinging. Awareness of the breath, moving the spine along with that breath, finding that little bit of space for yourself wherever that is. Inhale. Exhale. Keep on going. Awareness is with the breath. Inhale. Exhale. Notice the little shifts of the body as you breathe here. These are a little bit more exaggerated than just sitting and watching. Just let the body move gently, kind of massaging some of those tissues, the muscles specifically, inviting them to relax a little bit more. Last round. And as you exhale, allow yourself to soften into that comfortable edge. You've been working towards it. What does it look like at this time? As you take a minute here to just breathe. Just sit with it. Explore the sensations that come up and notice the mind as it attaches to these different thoughts and sensations. We're going to prepare for those last 3 bumblebees here on this side. So we'll play around with the tones if you like, but just be aware of how they sound to you. Breathing in for the first. Let's breathe in for the second bumblebee. And for the third and final Brahmari, inhale. And allowing yourself 3 breaths as you are. And on that third breath, inviting that movement that feels right to you today. How does the body wish to move? Where does it want to go? How does it want to express these sensations? Take this next minute to explore that space, to just be with the breath, to let the body move as it will move in a space of easefulness, naturally. You take another breath just as you are. We're going to begin to move and prepare for this next posture. One that has been talked about so much this weekend. Pigeon. Pigeon. So even before we come to the posture, I just want to demonstrate two options. If your knees are not feeling coming into the full traditional variation of pigeon, you can instead come to deer pose as another option. In your deer pose, you'll be sitting on your sit bones, whereas your left leg will have the foot pointing towards the left hip, and your right leg will have the right foot resting near the left knee. So seated in this version here, we'll move towards folding over the right knee, similar to a pigeon pose. If you prefer to come in the traditional version of pigeon or swan, as we would call it, at that point here, that right knee comes towards the right wrist. I know I can still do these things in a sari, and that's kind of impressive, I tell you. I'm impressed too sometimes. All right, so at this point here, the back leg comes back and you're bringing the body weight over that right leg and the hands to either side of that right knee, or coming down onto the forearms or onto a bolster if you prefer. So whichever variation, whether that be traditional pigeon posture or deer pose today. And if you come into that pigeon first and you find, oh, that is not good in my body today, please take that moment to adjust and move towards deer pose as another option. As you arrive, take a moment, go inwards, feel it out. If you have any sharp shooting pains on the inside of your knee, please come out of the pose and go to the other variation. And as we arrive here, let's return to the breath and allow it to move the spine gently. As you breathe in, let the heart lift. As you exhale, kind of rounding a little bit. Again, with that breath, same ways we've been doing, riding the wave of the breath. Inhale. Exhale. Spine is that extension of the wave here. Inhale. Exhale. You might be on the hands, you might be on the forearms, you might be resting a little closer to the mat. Keep going. Last couple times. Breathing in. Breathing out. Last one with the breath. Exhale, and as the breath releases here, come to that edge. What does that edge feel like to you? Where is that edge today? That space where the sensations are present. Sensations are just that, sensations. just like emotions, just like feelings, they do not describe who you are, how good of a person you are, or anything. They are just sensations, just feelings. When they arise, can we continue to bring that awareness to the breath? Sometimes those breaths might need to be bigger. Sometimes they might need to release a little bit more, even through the jaw or the tongue. Contentment is noticing what arises and letting it be what it is. No reasons, no justifications, no need to fix it even. Just feel it and allow it. Feel, watch, allow. The moment we become okay with being human, the less alone we start to feel in the world. What a beautiful place that would be. As we come into the last minute or so here, we'll continue with our 3 bumblebees. As you are, breathe in. Preparing for your second Brahmari, inhale. Third one, breathing in. Allow yourself these next 3 breaths. And with the end of your third, moving with purpose and awareness. Taking your time. We're not rushing this practice. It's slow, it's low, mindful. Take your time. Where does your body want to go after that? Some will go to child's pose. Some will roll onto their backs. Some will extend. There's no rush. We're not moving to the other side just yet. What does your body need? What does it want? What really feels good? Allow yourself another minute to really just explore that space. Maybe you found yourself some stillness as you are. Beautiful. Maybe there's a little exploration there for you. Lovely. Maybe you just want to be. Perfect. Being a yogi is not the absence of feeling. It's actually feeling everything always. And letting go of the why. Let's take another breath wherever you are. And let's prepare for the same pose on the other side. And now some may come back to that traditional variation of swan or pigeon pose. But sometimes there's an injury on one side, or there's some structural reasons why the other side would not be accessible, and that's okay too. So maybe you do deer pose on the other side. Let's begin to find our way there, where the left knee is now the one coming forward, or the opposite side. At the end of the day, just the other leg. And as you come to find your way there, we may be using some props. We might have some bolsters, some blocks. We might have blankets to help cushion our space, to support our head, support the hip. And just take a moment. Notice how this feels in the body. If the sharp shooting pain is one that is felt on the inside of the knee, that's an indication. Come out of the pose. But if whatever you're feeling still allows for an easefulness of the breath, then you should or may be okay. And as you arrive into that space, let's just breathe. Watch the flow of the spine with the breath. Allow the body to ease into the pose. Breathing in, you feel the lengthening. Breathing out, a little bit of that rounding. So we're coming closer to the end of the practice. You might start to notice that this movement might start to slow down a little bit more, become a little bit more internal. Still feeling it, watching the wave. The spine is undulating or moving with the breath. And this little movement helps to create some more space in the hip joints, the lower back. You might start to feel a little more ease around the lower back. As we're inviting the restfulness of those muscles, the extensors, the QL around the top of the pelvis. There might be just a couple more breaths here. And with your next exhale, allow this to be the space where we find the comfortable edge and start to move into a little more physical stillness. The awareness may still be with the breath, especially if the mind is feeling busy. The breath is always with us as an anchor. It can let us know how we're feeling. If our physical body is stressed, sometimes the mind plays games with us. It tells us things we want to hear that serve us a purpose, whatever that purpose may be. But the breath, it always knows. So the game here is to bring awareness to the breath. And as we mentioned, the breath is part of the autonomic nervous system, but it's one of those things that you actually do have limited control over. So you can begin to slow it down with awareness. As we invite more of that breath into the body, it's a greater influx of oxygen as well. We nourish our body with this breath. We're coming into our last minute in the pose and 3 last Brahmaris. Inhaling to begin. Inhaling for the second Brahmari. Inhale. And for this third and final Brahmari, let it just come out the way it wants to come out. Breathing in. Three final breaths here. And with your third breath, allowing the body to just do as the body would like to do. Taking that time to feel it out, to breathe. Notice the beauty of just being here now, this unsurpassed joy, the miracle that is this moment. The aliveness. We only have this one aliveness. That's it. Let's take another breath wherever you are. And then beginning to find your way towards your back body. And you might lay on your mat by utilizing a blanket first cushion. Maybe this feels better along the length of your spine. Some people might like a little support for their head. It's not yet Shavasana, but we are so close to it. We'll just allow a little bit more movement before coming into that final relaxation. And as you come down onto your back, let the knees come up into the chest, placing the hands on the knees. And we'll move like a bellows. As you breathe in, the knees come away from the body, the elbows elongate. And as you exhale, bend the elbows, let the knees come a little closer to the body. Breathing in, they come away from the body. Breathing out, they come into the body. Keep on going with the breath. Inhale. Exhale. Last breath here. As you squeeze the knees into the body, you might leave the hands as they are and just let the elbows and shoulders relax. You might hug the hands around the legs a little bit more if you prefer, tucking them in a little closer. One more breath, just as you are. And releasing the legs back down to the mat. Feet come a little bit wider. Let the knees fall in towards each other into constructive rest posture. Softening the hips, the groins, the hip flexors. And allowing the belly to remain soft in order to welcome the breath. And if this is where your body would like to stay, it can. We're preparing for final relaxation or Shavasana. If at this time your body would prefer to stretch out just a little bit more in order to find that easefulness, some may like to drop the knees side to side like windshield wipers or come to a gentle twist. We're going to take about a minute in that exploration before Shavasana. And if your body is already moving in that direction, Shavasana is the next place for you. You might just find your way into your own final relaxation. Maybe reaching for comfort items. You might like some socks on. You might like to put on a sweater. You might like to cover yourself up with a blanket or even use a bolster underneath the knees for comfort. Some may like to do Shavasana on their backs. Others may prefer to lay on their side in a fetal-like position. Others may be on their abdomen today in more of a crocodile-like posture. Wherever it is your body would like to move towards and feels the most at ease. Allow it to move in that direction. As it settles in, we'll do 3 last Brahmaris. Inhale. Inhale for the second. And for the third and final Brahmari, inhale. Allowing the breath to soften. and gently allow your breath to begin to deepen. The awareness returns to the present moment. Your body will begin to invite some movement to return to its limbs. And slowly but gently allowing that movement to increase. You might even stretch out, whatever that means to you at this time. And allow yourself here, these next few breaths, to begin to transition from Shavasana to seated. Maybe that means rolling over to one side. Maybe to come to a seated, wherever you are, the transition begins. And as you come to find your seat, this may be a seated cross-legged posture. It might be seated with the legs stretched out, maybe supported seat. But it feels grounded. And then a lengthening for the spine. Shoulders remaining relaxed to create a little more space between the upper shoulders and the ears. The eyes might gaze inwards through a closing of the eyelids or a soft gaze forward. And the breath is still present. Allowing the hands to come to rest at the heart center into Namaskar Mudra. As the practice comes to an end today, they'll do that with mantra, the Gayatri mantra, Mahamrityunjaya, Jyotir, and then Akhanda. After that fourth mantra, we'll join in together for one Om and three Shantis. If you know any of these mantras along the way, you're more than welcome to join in along. Breathing in to begin. Om Bhurбhuvah Swaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtirvardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanam Mrityo Mokshayamamritat. Om Asato Ma Satagamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Akhanda Mandalakaram Vyaptam Yena Characharam Tatparam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. And may peace live in the mind, peace be in your words, and always in the heart. Namaste. Namaste to each and all. Namaste to all those around in person, at home.